Good morning, friends. It's Friday, and it's like 9:30 in the morning, and I am off work. Yay! I took a couple of days off, Friday and Monday, to just have a nice extra long weekend because the other secretary in my office has been called back from all the COVID stuff. So I finally have the opportunity to take some me time. So, and since I'm back in the office full time and I don't get to just be home to, keep up with stuff during the week, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take all weekend, get some things done, read a lot, and just relax and not think about work. So, which I haven't done since March. So, but anyway, so today, well, this whole weekend, I decided I still have a lot of reading to catch up on for, all my various readathons that I'm doing this month. So I decided that this morning, before I really get into my housework, since it's only like 9:30, I am going to take an hour and try to get caught up on my buddy read of After the Fog with Amanda. We actually talked to each other last night, and neither one of us got any time to read yesterday. So I said, you know what, so that I don't get behind, because she's in a different time zone than me. So it was still earlier in the day for her, and it was like 10:30 at night for me. So I wasn't going to read. And I said, so that I don't get any farther behind you, why don't we just skip today in this and we'll go back to it tomorrow. So I'm going to take an hour, set a timer, see how much I can read in an hour, and then start my housework. And then the other thing that I actually did start yesterday, but I didn't get like super far into it, was Dashing Through the Snow by, don't remember this, Mary Higgins Clark and Carol Higgins Clark. I'm going to assume they're sisters or a mother-daughter team. I don't know, actually know, I should look at the back. But anyway, this one was recommended to me by an Instagram follower, I believe, and for my Christmas in Julyathon that I am doing. And this will cover the prompt of a night sky or a starry sky, and the prompt of a wintry or Christmassy title. So, Dashing Through the Snow, obviously, is a line from a Christmas song, and also snow is in the title. So it covers two prompts, and it's really super short. And I actually thought this was a romance. I don't know why. I think I just had it in my head that Mary Higgins Clark was a romance author, but I guess she is a mystery author, because this is a cozy mystery. I started it a couple hours before I left work yesterday, just for a little bit, but I couldn't concentrate yesterday at work. So, but it's definitely a mystery. There is a guy that goes missing in this, and there's a detective and his like helper person that is going to come to the town and try to figure out where he went. So yeah, that's exciting because I like cozy mysteries. But I will have to get a romance in here somewhere, because the Christmas in Julyathon is a romance readathon, so I gotta read romance at some point. Although there is a little bit of a romance in here, so I'm still gonna count it. But anyway, I'm gonna set a timer for 1 hour, and I am going to drink my water right there and get to hopefully the next section of this book. So I'll check in with you in a little bit. Hello there. So after about 2 hours of reading at this point, actually, no, 3 hours. 2 hours were an audiobook, and 1 hour was actual reading. I have finished a book. I finished the audiobook version of Dashing Through the Snow for the Christmas in Julyathon. And this will cover the prompts of a night sky or starry sky and a Christmas/winter title. So this was, I don't know what I would really call this. I don't know if it was a cozy mystery or a romance. It definitely wasn't a romance. It definitely had a romance element to it. It follows a group of store clerks who all win the lottery, but one of their friends who usually participated in the group lottery thing decided not to that time. However, he did pick the Powerball ticket number before he decided he wasn't going to put $1 in. So they very nicely say that they're going to include him in the winnings since it was his number. However, they can't find him, and he's just missing. So, and then there is his the guy who's missing. His girlfriend is an internet girlfriend, and she comes to town to surprise him, and craziness ensues, and she also goes missing, and it's all just about trying to find the two of them and get them back and get them married. So it's a cozy mystery with a romantic element, but even the cozy mystery part, there's really no mystery. We know the whole time who does the thing and who, we know where the guy is for most of the time. So, because we get like a lot of different perspectives, including the criminals. So it was very interesting, but there was a lot packed into that little book. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just fun. It was just a cute, fun read. The characters, except for who you weren't supposed to like, the characters were all just likable characters, which is in stark contrast to the characters in After the Fog, who at this point are mostly unlikable. I mean, they are in After the Fog, I would say they are unlikable but understandable. They're realistic people. They have their definite faults and they're frustrating, but they are real people with real problems, but you just want them to frickin' communicate with each other. But in Dashing Through the Snow, they were all very just nice, and like a group of people deciding to include their coworker who really didn't participate in the lottery. That's just nice. Like, who would do that anymore, So, but anyway, now I need to actually sit down and physically read more of After the Fog. I still have my chapters for today to do. I just got caught up in what I was supposed to read the other day. So I'm going to continue on reading that, and I'm doing some more housework. So yeah, I probably will check back in with you later tonight, hopefully. And I'll let you know if I got anything else read. And I'll talk to you later. Okay. It's now Monday, and I just thought that I should pop on and like actually say something because your last few minutes were just montages of my trip this weekend. So what you saw in that, obviously, was my trip to Denora, PA, which is the setting for this book, After the Fog. So the premise of this book, I think I've said, is in October of 1948, there was a really thick fog that settled in the valley of Denora, and it trapped a lot of the particles from the zinc mill that was part of the whole steel making industry. And it killed 20 people in that week, and it killed an additional 50 or so after the fact, like in the next month. And I think it seems to be what prompted the federal government to start putting regulations on the steel industry. So anyway, Denora is like 2 hours south from me. So I also have some family that lives in that area. So my parents and I decided that we would take a little historical educational tour to that area, and then just, ride around and see some of the places where my mom had grown up and visit some family. So it was kind of like a threefold trip. So, because let me tell you, nobody's going to just visit Denora for the sake of visiting Denora. It's sadly very, very rundown, and there's just nothing on Main Street anymore. There are some interesting historical places of interest there. There is a place called Cement City, which is basically a neighborhood in Denora of 80 different houses that were all made from pre-poured concrete slabs. So not concrete, cement, which I guess is kind of the same thing. But instead of like cement blocks that we see in a lot of industrial type buildings, they were actually slabs. So it almost looks like stucco. And it just, smooth walls, and actually looks really pretty. And for a town that's as run down as Denora has become, those houses that are made out of the pre-poured cement are actually in really good condition and look pretty nice by comparison to a lot of the other places there. So that was interesting to see. And there were also these steps which went clear up the side of the hill. I don't remember if I put in any little videos of that because I'm not sure that it really turned out. It wasn't like terribly picturesque, but there are steps going way up this hill, but they are only 4 inches high. And that is because in the early 1900s, the women wore hobble skirts, which are basically long pencil skirts, but they were only tight from the knee, like below the knee down. So they were like blousy on the hips and the thigh area, but really tight on the shin area, which seems highly, highly dumb for any kind of fashion, but whatever. That's what they did for at least a brief period of time. And because of this, so that the women could get down from their houses on the top of the hill to like the Main Street area, they made these really steep, like steep as in lots of stairs, but they were only 4 inches tall because the women couldn't move their feet up higher than that for normal stairs. So that was interesting to see too. So, despite the fact that I can't imagine anybody going to Denora just for, fun times, there were some very interesting sights to see there. So yeah, and I saw a lot of the places, streets and things mentioned in after the fog, and it was, you know, there's really no shops or anything in Denora anymore that, you know, would have been talked about in this book. There's really not much of anything open in Denora right now, but there's a shop called Isley's that used to be kind of a chain in the Western PA area, and I don't think that it is even in existence anymore, but my dad actually worked at an Isley's at one point, so so that was interesting to read about. But so anyway, and I finished after the fog during that trip, and it was just, it was a hard read. Like, this book, there is probably 3/4 of this book, maybe more, is just sadness. Like, these people just really are on hard times the entire way through this book, and it's not until the very end that we kind of get some closure. And Amanda and I talked about it today, and we said, you know, kind of concluded in a Hallmark way that seems like, you know, it wasn't really realistic to what the rest of this book would be. But at the same time, I liked how it ended, because I felt like after all that sadness, there needed to be something good that happened to this woman, Rose, and her family. So, because, like, pretty much nothing good. And it all stems from, like, partly it's the killing fog, because, I mean, they couldn't help that. That was just a thing that happened. But a lot of their problems stemmed from all of them just being stupid and not communicating with each other and lying and hiding things from each other. Oh, it was so frustrating at times, but it all kind of, you know, there's closure. Let's say that there's some closure. There is actually a second to, I think this is a duology, or maybe it will become a series. I don't know, but there's definitely another one in this little series, and so I think I'll probably pick it up at some point, because I did really enjoy this. There were some sexy times, but it wasn't too much, and there was just a lot of hard topics talked about. Yeah, all in all, and I think partly because it is set in my area, it was just really interesting to read about something in my area, and then to go and see the actual spot where this takes place and to kind of piece it all together. It was really, really a fascinating read. And I'm really excited that I got to read it with Amanda, because that made it even better, because I could explain different Pittsburghese words to her and talk about different things that happened in the, you know, in the town, and like my association with it, like my dad working at Isley's, and yeah, just that kind of thing. Fun. And the Pittsburgh toilet. But anyway, so that was my little weekend, and on top of that, I read a romance for the Christmas in Julyathon. And that was Holiday by Gaslight. And this is by Mimi Matthews, I believe is the name. I'll put a picture up here. And this was just a cute little Christmas novella that I had actually seen on Tia, from Tia and All the Books channel, last year. And the cover just really intrigued me. And I was like, oh, I need to read that. And then I just never did, because I, you know, was not really a romance reader last year. So I kind of just like, well, that would be fun to read, and then totally forgot about it. So one of the prompts for the Christmas in Julyathon is to read a book from last year. And since I have no like prior romance books that I had wanted to read on my, you know, TBR, I was trying to think of things, and I forget how I came back across this. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh, I need to read this. So Kindle read it to me, or Alexa read it to me via Kindle, because that's a thing that you can do now. And it was just really a nice little relaxing read. And it actually will fit with a Jane Austen retelling, I think, because about halfway through the novella, I realized that this unintentionally has persuasion vibes to it. This follows a woman in the Victorian age named Sophie, and she is a baronet's daughter. And, much like Anne Elliot is a baronet's daughter. And she has a very vain father and a very vain and silly sister. And she has been betrothed to a man named Ned, who is a tradesman, but he is a wealthy tradesman. And she actually rejects him at the beginning of this, but then she is persuaded to rethink it. And so yeah, it really did have some persuasion vibes to it. Now the author's note at the end said that she actually took inspiration from Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South for this, which I can definitely see, because you have the wealthy nobleman's daughter and the wealthy tradesman, and they're butting heads. But I definitely saw a lot more persuasion vibes in it. Whether she meant to do that or not, I don't know. She didn't say anything about it, but I definitely think that it could go as a persuasion retelling. If you've read this little novella, do you agree with me? Can you see persuasion vibes in this? Because I really could. By the time I was done reading it, I was like, yeah, this is a persuasion retelling. So, but yeah, so that is really all I have for this little long weekend vlog. And I will probably start back up with another one tomorrow, because I still have a ton of books to read in the next 10, however many days we have left in the month. So, so I will probably start the next vlog right now, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye, friends.